nation.
Global Affairs Analyst Amoda Mosigbodi joins me on the World Now to discuss this development. Thank you very much for joining us on World Now. Finally, President Ruto says he is ready to dialogue. Is this coming too late, considering that at least 2 people are reported to have died in the course of the protests?
First, the timing of this position by President Ruto there's never a better time than now, given the fact that the protest is building up, and Ruto himself, knowing full well the state of things in Kenya, the high cost of living, and the fact that the demography involved in this protest are those who would always have a rallying point in social media. So, choice than to backtrack on what we often see with African governments. He has to backtrack to call for, a meeting, a negotiation with, these protesters. Don't forget that there's government, but these concessions definitely are not to young, guys and ladies. And he knows that if this is not done, given the state of things, the socio-economic situation of Kenya and all that context. So it's important that it calls for a meeting, and the timing cannot be better than now.
So do you think that the protesters are actually assuaged by this? Because already they are calling for new mobilizations on Tuesday and Thursday next week. All right, I've been speaking with Amoda Mosigbodi on... All right, Mr. Mosigbodi, I'm asking about what you think, protesters really make of President Ruto's readiness to dialogue.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Yes, because, protesters are actually calling for new mobilizations for Tuesday and Thursday next week. So do you think they really, trust in that statement coming from the president about his readiness to dialogue with them?
Definitely, there is no trust. It's a no love lost relationship between the protesters and government. Don't forget that this is not a government. Government over time in Africa do not enjoy that legitimacy. Government, however, the continued efforts of government at reaching out to these protesters is going to be the only way out. These guys will keep on pushing on because they know that the point at which they backtrack, then that's the end of the struggle for them. And for social movements as this, the consistency of the protesters in making their demands and, not necessarily giving up on it is the way to go. So they can't say because, President Ruto has said, he's going to call for a negotiation, then they should backtrack. If they do, they understand very well that given the dynamics of government over time, then that's the end of their social movement. So that's why they keep moving on. That's why they'll keep moving on and hoping that the government will fulfill its own, part of the game.
As you have mentioned, this protest is made up of young people who have the energy, who have the presence on social media, who are able to make their voices heard. And it does appear to have caught government off guard. What do you think?
We're in the digital age. You can, in the last 15 years, you can take a stock of protests that have begun as a result of this digital drive. Remember the flood case in the US and a whole lot of other cases where protesters have been able to use social media as a rallying point. And in a situation where a lot of these guys are, and those in government are still living in the 70s. They're living in the 80s where you need to have an in-person meeting. Okay, you need to have a convergence before you can have social mobilization and all that. Those days are gone. Now you can sit in the corner of your house, you can raise the tempo, and the fire will be caught by all. So that's why government was caught off guard. They would never believe, it would have been thought that this is the usual social media rant, but this definitely is not one.
All right, then. Global Affairs Analyst Amoda Mosigbodi, thank you very much for talking to us on World Now.
You're most welcome.
Well, let's now turn